Hey everyone, my name's Madison. Thanks for checking out my channel. Today I'm going to do a tag video. I haven't done a tag in a while. I'm going to do the Moody Readers tag. Moody Reader tag, singular. So I will put the questions in the description box below, as well as a couple of the videos that I saw of this tag. So, the first question is, do you consider yourself a moody reader? And the answer is absolutely yes. I have a very difficult time sticking to TBRs, specifically because I want to read what I want to read when I want to read it. And it's not really about the seasons or anything like that. It's just about, I'm not in the mood for maybe this dark book, or I'm not in the mood for this dense book, something like that. Also, sometimes when I'm in the middle of one book, it makes me think of another book I want to read, and it puts me, so like that will like totally, that desire will put any TBR, on the back burner. Question number 2 is, do you set TBRs and do you stick with them? So, no. YouTube likes TBRs, BookTube likes TBRs, and that's interesting. Like, are all popular booktubers very type A people? I don't know. Who are you people? So when I first started watching BookTube, that's what I would see. I would see people doing TBRs, and I thought it was, what you had to do to be on BookTube, so I tried to make TBRs and failed all the time and got tired of saying, oh, I'm sorry, I failed. Obviously no one cares. This is my reading life, right? So I went back to the way I normally do things for a while, which is just reading what I wanted to read. But then what I did this year, which has worked pretty well, is that I made a list in January of books I want to read, nonfiction and fiction. And this is not a TBR. It's not an I have to read these. It's just when I go and look for another book, like what should I read next, I go to that list first. They're all books I own, or with one or two exceptions. And so that has helped me read more of what's actually on my shelves. But I'll be honest, when I buy a book, I put it on the list. So, not really super helpful there. Whatevs. So anyway, I can pick and choose from that list all year long, and it's been very helpful. I've found it structured enough to still allow the mood reading. Question number 3 is, do books rub off on you emotionally, or do books affect you emotionally? And the answer is yes. No matter what I'm reading, it will affect me emotionally. I'm a verbal processor, so I like to have someone to talk to about what I'm reading, which is, difficult because my husband and I are never reading the same thing, and rarely do. We do not have similar tastes in books, not really. So I'm constantly trying to talk to him about a book, which isn't helpful because he can't talk back to me in a way that, we can't hold a conversation because we don't have that common topic. And it actually really frustrates me, but I still keep trying to talk to him about these books that I'm trying to read. So like I said in a previous video that I was reading Just Mercy, and I was driving my husband nuts because I kept wanting to talk about it, but it was actually like causing conflict because I wanted to talk about it, but he hadn't read the book, so he didn't know really what I was talking about, and he wasn't thinking about it the way I was thinking about it, and I got angry, which is obviously not his fault. He hasn't read the book. I was expecting too much from him. But yes, so what I'm reading will affect my mood for all kinds of crazy reasons. Question number 4 is, what do you read when you're feeling sad, or do you not read when you're feeling sad? So I will say, when I'm feeling a little depressed, which hasn't happened very often in my life, but last year it happened, shocker. I do have a harder time sticking to books. Last year was a terrible reading year just because I was, everything was crazy. But in general, when I'm feeling sad, I'll turn to Harry Potter. I just find it so comforting. I can distinctly remember one time, probably 2 years ago now, we were going through a really, really tough time. And I remember just sitting on the floor in my living room in Alaska, reading. We have these beautiful picture books of Harry Potter, and just like lying on the floor crying, looking at the pictures. I wasn't really reading it, but I was looking through all the pictures. And it's just because Harry Potter is very comforting to me. But I also want to talk about this other feeling. Like, do you ever get the feeling where you know you need to cry? I was talking about this with a friend recently, and when I know I need to cry, there are certain shows I will watch. For example, if you really feel like you need to cry, it might be beneficial for you to watch the musical Les Mis. You will cry and you will feel better. I mean, marginally, because crying is good for you. So I do that as well sometimes. Question number 5. When do you read most to escape, to learn, or to read critically or critically think? And this is one of those questions that makes me think this was written by someone who is not a mood reader, and perhaps by one of those type A personality people that I talked about earlier. All three, it doesn't have to be one or the other, and even the same book, you can enjoy it, you can learn from it, you can think critically about it, all of the above. So I don't know. Number 6, what is a book that made you laugh out loud? I've got 2. The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. Giggled like almost the entire time, which is wonderful because it's actually about World War II and has some tragic stories. But the author did a wonderful job with that book. Her tone is light and humorous in a way that's not offensive. So, thought it was lovely and I laughed a lot. Also, A Man Called Uva. Also relatively heavy topics because, and I laughed out loud while I was listening to it on an audiobook in my car. Felt like a crazy person. And finally, anything by Liane Moriarty. Her books, just like Guernsey and A Man Called Uva, Liane Moriarty does a great job of taking everyday topics that are very deep and troublesome and making you laugh while you're reading about them. Again, not in an offensive way. So I understand how that could be offensive. That's not what these authors are doing. I love all 3 of those authors. Okay, question number 7 is name a book that made you cry. So I've got a whole list, okay, a whole list. I love to cry when I read. So the first one is The Great Alone. This is a Kristen Hanna book set in Alaska. That's about a very troubled family. And so there were a couple of things in this book that made me cry. Obviously, the plot itself is pretty devastating, but there's also this point where she leaves, the girl leaves Alaska, and it broke my heart. I couldn't handle it. I like, why? Why would you ever leave Alaska? Don't do it. It was a moment in my life where I couldn't handle that. So I cried a lot during that book. Another book that made me cry is Lonesome Dove. Those final scenes, man, they just tear your heart out. And it's one of the few books I've read in the last 3 years that I really want to reread. In fact, it's the only book. It's the only book that I have read recently that I plan on rereading. Another book that I've read, several years ago, I think I may have been in high school or college, I'm not positive, Remains of the Day. My mom got me a 2-set of DVDs that had Emma Thompson movies, and so I didn't want to watch the movie without having read the book once I found out it was a book, so I read the book, and I think I read it in one night. I stayed up all night on my couch, on my parents' couch, just reading this book and sobbing, and it was a beautiful story. You should read it. Did I sell it? You should read it. Also, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, cry every time, especially towards the end, and All Quiet on the Western Front. So, some that you would expect to cry at, some not so much. I would recommend all of them if they're all good books, even if they do make you cry. Number 8 is name a book that you don't know how you felt about. And I'm gonna interpret this to mean I have mixed feelings or I can't really decide, and so I have a couple. Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson. I finished that and I'm still dealing with how I feel about it, and so I haven't done my video on it yet. And it's probably going to wait because I have a lot of videos to do. But I have some really positive things to say about it and some really negative things to say about it. And I'm waiting until I mull it over, write about it a little bit more, and just can calm down before I film my video so that, I don't get too many thumbs down, nasty comments, and people unsubscribing. Another book that I'm not sure how I feel about but have generally more positive feelings about is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. That's just how I feel about it. I thought the writing was pretentious, but the story was interesting. A lot of people say that they feel like it's a very hopeful story, and I honestly didn't get that from the road. So I just have very ambivalent feelings toward it, even though I know that most people either love it or hate it. And then another one that I have mixed feelings about is The Women in Black by Madeline St. James. I'll put her name here somewhere if that's not right. She's an Australian author, and she's writing about, like, I think post World War II Australia, and it's an immigrant story, or partially an immigrant story, which I found interesting. But what I thought was weird is that nobody grows or changes in the book, and I heard one commenter, like one critic who actually wrote, I think, a prologue or something to the book, call it parody, and if that's the case, then that's cool, and I'm for it. But if it's not parody, I'm not for it, and it's just weird. So, but I mean, it's beautifully written. You read it and tell me what you think, please. I have a video about it up here, so you tell me what you think. Okay, question number 9. Are you more likely to read on cloudy days or sunny days? Well, my friends, I don't think you understand who booktubers are as a person. All the days. I read on all the days. Although I will say that on sunny days, I am more likely to be outside, or to want to be outside. Whether I'm just going for a walk or in Alaska I would be hiking. Here, not so much. But maybe in the summertime I'll get more hiking opportunities. But I'm just outside doing something. Like yesterday afternoon we went paddleboarding for a couple of hours, so that's time I didn't spend reading, but it's still time I'm very happy, like time well spent, you know? So I don't care whether it's sunny or rainy. I will always try to get as much reading done as I can, but outdoor activities also need to happen for, mental clarity and sanity. Question number 10. Do you set the mood when you read with, like, candles or music or lighting? Not normally. I do like snacks, so I like to make sure I have snacks with me, or I will interrupt my reading to go get a snack. I love snacks all the time. Snacks are the best. But that's the only thing I really like to have when I'm reading. Question number 11. Can you hop from book to book, or do you need like a time buffer in between books? So I would like to hop right from one book into another book because I want to read all the books. But what I've learned is that when I do that, I just end up feeling frustrated and a little dull. Now I will take time to think about what I've read, or write about what I've read, or make a video about what I've read, so that I'm processing it, and I found that my enjoyment of books is better when I do that, and my comprehension and memory of what I read is better. Does it mean I read slightly fewer books than in years past? Yeah, sure, but I need to enjoy my reading, you need to enjoy your reading, so however you answer these questions is what's best for you. So, if you haven't done this tag yet, I'd love it if you did. Ryan and Kristen at Seeking Stories, have you done this tag yet? You should do it. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Also, if you've gotten this far, mini announcement, I'm not going to be making or publishing any other videos in May because it's my birthday month, and so I'll be traveling at least 2 of the weekends, and I just need some rest time. So there we go. Thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.